In a universe with hundreds of billions of galaxies, we still don't know if intelligent life exists beyond Earth. Are we truly alone, or is the universe already speaking and we just haven't learned how to listen? Today, I'm joined by Dr. Jill Tarter, a pioneer in SETI, co-founder of the SETI Institute, and former director of the Center for SETI Research. I hope this conversation inspires you to think a little deeper about our place in the universe. Dr. Tata, it's a real honor to speak with you today. I think after dedicating so many decades to the search of extraterrestrial intelligence, what still motivates you to keep looking?
Well, we don't yet have an answer to the question. We may never have an answer, but to me, it's one of the most interesting questions that humans can pose. Are there other sentient beings in the universe, and might we have some kind of communication with them?
From a scientific perspective, what do you think is currently the most promising technosignature we should be searching for? Do you have an answer for that?
Well, Felipe, I don't know. With the advent of the 20th century, we have new tools that we didn't used to have, and we should use them all. We should look at every wavelength and in every way with every kind of modulation scheme in mind that we can imagine and see what's out there. I think there's a lot to learn about the universe, including whether or not there are other inhabitants.
Especially now with machine learning, large-scale data analysis, I think that changed the way SETI is conducted today.
Sure, large language models and machine learning can consume enormous volumes of data from all kinds of different sources and perhaps find patterns that we were unaware of. But on the other hand, those machines are only going to do what we ask them to do. So ultimately, human bias is still part of the process.
Many people interpret the so-called great silence as discouraging. Do you personally see it that way or as something else?
Well, it doesn't discourage me. What it tells me is that the universe is vast, and there are just so many possible ways that perhaps information could be transferred between participants or different species within the universe. I mean, we say, we've been doing SETI for 50 years, we haven't heard anything, must mean there's nothing out there. Well, couldn't be farther from the truth. I mean, we've hardly begun to search. There are so many stars, so many frequencies, so many modulation patterns that we haven't investigated yet. And I'll be able to tell you how long it'll take after we succeed, because we just don't know.
I have a personal question, and I mean, there's a lot of confusion today between scientific efforts like SETI and UFO or UAP claims. How do you clearly separate rigorous science from speculation? Because misinformation about extraterrestrial life actually harms scientific efforts like SETI, in my opinion. I want to hear from you. What do you think about that?
Well, what I think is that somebody's making a lot of money out of the whole thing, right? They're selling snake oil. They're selling what people want to hear, good time, good news stories, without any data to back it up. And in fact, it's worse than that. What they're selling, what they're showing the public, has embedded in it the data that proves that what they're saying is exactly wrong. If people would take the time to actually investigate the story that's being told and look at the tools that are available, then they would have a better understanding of what's actually going on. But people don't want to do that. They're kind of lazy. and they want somebody to tell them a nice story with a good ending. And if it means that to get other information they have to do work, they typically don't do it. And that's discouraging to me. I think we should be educating our young people and encouraging them to become experts in all kinds of different fields and use that expertise when they're presented with a challenge.
The film Contact was inspired in part by your work, right? How accurately do you think it captures the real scientific process behind SETI, especially the patience, uncertainty, and long-term nature of the search?
Well, I mean, Carl wrote a book, and then there was a movie about the work that I do. And yeah, he got it right. You need a lot of patience. And a lot of people are going to tell you you're wasting your time. Well, you can decide that for yourself. Whether you think what you're doing has a chance of answering this very old question, and whether for you it's personally worth it. For me, it certainly is. And the movie was fairly accurate. The thing that bothers me about the movie is that it has a huge innumeracy in it. Big mistake.
Yeah.
And of course, I've been told by Andrian that Carl caught that mistake in the working script, but sadly he passed away before it could be fixed. And so you have Jodie Foster looking up at the sky and saying, there are 200 billion or 400 billion stars in the observable universe. And if only 1 in a million of those stars had planets, if only 1 in a million of those planets had life, and if only 1 in a million of those life forms were able to communicate in some way, there would be millions of signals to find. But, she's taken a number, 200, 400 billion, multiplied it by 1 in a million, 1 in a million, 1 in a million, 10 to the minus 18, and coming up with 10 to the 6th. And the numbers aren't right, and they're not just a little bit wrong. They're wrong by 6 orders of magnitude. They're very wrong, and it upsets me with that film because people say to me, "Oh, come on, Dr. Tarter, nobody's going to get that. Doesn't matter." And that is the thing that I obsess over it, which is we do not train our young people to work with numbers, to understand various orders of magnitude, what a factor of 10 means, a factor of 100. And so the math goes on being repeated incorrectly, and that bothers me.
Maybe the movies, Hollywood, they don't care about the numbers, about the math behind it.
Yeah, but they should care. I mean, they're a huge source of information for young people. And why not get it right? Why spew out misinformation?
I think we did a better job. I mean, with the Interstellar film by Kip Thorne working together with Christopher Nolan, I think it's more accurate because he really did a good job by simulating the black hole and publishing a book explaining about the dimensions and so on. So maybe that's the way we need to keep doing more films, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, Kip certainly knows the math and he got it right. And so we need more Kip Thornes in Hollywood helping them.
Do you think the search of extraterrestrial intelligence is ultimately more about finding others or about understanding yourselves? It's a philosophical question, right?
Yeah. I have a number of slides under the rubric of searching for extraterrestrials and finding ourselves, and I think that's quite true. If you think about the history of this subject, which really goes back to the Middle Ages, actually, thinking about life beyond Earth. And at first, we demanded that whatever species we asked a question of, that they replied in our language. We asked our questions in English. We expected to get an answer in English. Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense to a gorilla or a squid or a dolphin. So
Yeah.
gradually, we've gotten smarter and we've built tools that allow us both to learn a common language. And now there are people who study animal behavior who claim that a prairie dog out in the field can pop up and say, look, the guy in the yellow shirt, he's back again, right? That there is that much language capability among a number of different species. But English is not the way to tease out what we jointly understand.
It reminds me about another film, which is, I think it's Arrival. Arrival, it's the name, because it's more about communication instead of just aliens coming to Earth and going to United States to steal everyone and mess with everyone and So that movie is really great because it's more about the communication, the language, and the math itself.
Right.
I don't know whether you know that movie.
I know it a little, and I think it's a good movie. Yeah.
So, just a final question. I mean, it's really inspiring to me to talk to you, seriously. But I want
Thank
to,
you.
as you know, my daughter Astrid was just born, and she represents a new
Congratulations.
generation. Yeah, and she represents a new generation that will grow up in a very different world. Would you like to leave a message for her to listen to when she grows up?
Yeah, tell her to figure out what it is she likes to do.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And then study or apprentice or train, whatever she has to do to become better at that than anyone else. So now she's got a tool set that she can take any place, any time, and say, these are the problems I'm interested in solving. What can my tools do to help me? Rather than saying, okay, boss, what do I got to do today, right? She can take her own questions and try and find answers. That's what science is all about, and it's really gratifying. It's fun. If you like jigsaw puzzles, you really should like science because it's a wonderful pastime. And we're using things like the Drake equation to try and organize our ignorance. What is it we don't yet understand? What is it that my skills, my tool set might allow us to understand? Go find the answers.
I will make sure that she can watch you.
Well, I hope when she is finished with her school, or actually you're never finished, but when she's an adult, that she'll join the search.
When you have a message from a legendary scientist, in my opinion, it's much more, I don't know, it's like a spark, it's like a fire burning, calling you. Thank you very much again for this small interview. I hope I can meet you someday in California because now it's more easy to go there.
Okay. Well, I look forward to that, Felipe. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much again. Bye-bye.